everyone, Dan the 14th Prime here, bringing you a video on the Black Series Special Forces TIE Fighter from Amazon today in this box that looks like a refrigerator is in it. Okay, so we're one box in and we went from the big Amazon box that's handy for smuggling small children in it probably to the toy case box here, which looks like about the size of a big window air conditioning unit. So we'll get in here and see what the toy finally looks like. So here we have the front of the box, guys. Star Wars, the Black Series, First Order Special Forces TIE Fighter. Some artwork and pictures of the toy as well as the figure down in the bottom right hand corner. This side of the box here has some pretty cool artwork, very dark. Not sure how well it shows up, but you've got the TIE Fighter pilot there. Kind of black on black, very dark artwork, but pretty cool. One thing you may notice on the back is it says 01 here. I don't know exactly what that means. I assume it's the first of some numbered series of vehicles to release for the Black Series. That would be cool. I've done some Googling. I haven't seen any commitments out there in terms of what other vehicles they might make. But fingers crossed that they come out with a few more. You know, an X-Wing would be cool and whatever else they can fit to scale. Millennium Falcon, you know, we'll see, but it would be really cool to see some more vehicles this size fitting the Black Series scale. And on the other side, you've got the big one. Again, hopefully meaning they continue to count 2, 3, and so on. And we see some more big scale vehicles from Star Wars. Okay, guys, I'm going to open this thing up and get it together, and we'll be right back. So here it is out of the box, guys. You got the big TIE Fighter and the pilot down below. If you're thinking scale, if the TIE Fighter pilot was 6 foot, let's say, the wings are like 4 of him high. So that would be 24 feet kind of tall wings. So this thing is pretty easy to put together. It's basically the big pod piece, 2 wings, which lock right in, and then you're attaching the turret on the bottom and on top, which I assume should come down like guns, like the Hasbro smaller scale, but I have not been able to get those to bend down yet and don't want to mess with breaking it just yet. But that's all you really snap in. Let me pick the camera up and give you a little fly around the vehicle. Where you'll really see the differences on the inside, and we'll get a closer look at that, but it holds 2 pilots in there, and there's all kinds of extra controls, seats, control panels, joysticks and gear sticks, things that these guys would be using to pilot the aircraft. In terms of gimmicks, really no shooting, projectile, sounds, lights, or anything like that. You've got a turret under here that just plugged in and rotates 360 degrees. We've got the guns here, again just fixed mounted with some color detailing on the inside. And you've got this antenna on the top, which I thought was supposed to be a rotating gun turret. On the smaller version, these do come down and it looks like a gun, but it seems like on this version they're kind of like antennas. I have not been able to get these to come down and look like forward-facing guns. Here's a shot at the inside of the cockpit. This is the backwards facing seat. You can see you've got a seat there and kind of 3 sets of controls, 1 in front and then 2 that would be for each arm. And this guy's got a control panel in front of him that's molded. On the back of the ship, it's got some nice white, orange, and yellow kind of detailing across the buttons in the console. And he's facing basically straight out that back window. Here you're looking down straight into the driver's seat. I've got the First Order TIE Fighter pilot in the seat. It is not easy to do. There are these kind of waist clips that he has to snap into. I have to say his legs don't really fit on the foot pedals that are collared where you think they'd go. They almost have to jam up behind them. So it is really snug in there. Again, there's some nice detailing here. This is really the only place that this toy sort of picks it up from the smaller scaled versions in terms of detailing. But it is snug in there. It was hard to get the figure in. I tried to put a few figures in the back seat, like a Stormtrooper, Finn, some of the guys that look like they might fit, but it's just so tight with these kind of waist clips that you really, I think, need these TIE fighters, and even he was really tough to get in. Here I put the regular Hasbro TIE Fighter, the 3.75-inch scale. Down there at the bottom, you can see it's more than 2 of it tall. Overall, the design is quite comparable. Got the cannon on top and the cannon on bottom. And the Hasbro had some missiles that were active launchers through a gimmick. This one just has some mounted missiles or guns there. I will add, just as I compare some of the molding detail to the smaller vehicle to the big Black Series here, overall they're pretty consistent. I mean, they really do kind of look the same. This is just a bigger version of it, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. On top, I actually do see a little bit more extra molding in the Hasbro that's not in the Black Series. But otherwise, I see a lot of the same things across the wings, across the bottom, just in terms of some of the detailing they're putting into the plastic molding. But surprisingly, the smaller one probably has just a little bit more detailing in the mold. Here's a quick pan up on the TIE Fighter pilot. Here he is from the back. In terms of the detail on this guy, really cool helmet. He's got some paint detailing on there. He's got the insignia on his shoulder, both shoulders. Kind of the oxygen accessory painted up with some nice detailing connected with the hose. He also comes with that small gun you see there, which has a little bit of silver detailing stripe on it as well. Then just a little closer on the helmet, again, probably some of the nicest detailing, the red stripes, some silver detailing above the eyes, the corner of the eyes, at the bottom of the mask there. And finally, in terms of quality, there's definitely something happening here. If you can see this, everywhere these pieces attach, which is basically 6 points on the wing on the outside and the inside, there's some discoloration there. So something in the manufacturing process of how they bring that pieces together is consistently putting, sort of a weathered look, so it doesn't really jump out maybe as being terrible, but I think based on its consistency and where it is something from the manufacturing process and something they probably couldn't otherwise do without. Where I prefer that to be the same color as any other part of the wing versus having that kind of really faded gray look to it where the pieces come together. For this piece of the paint application, looks pretty good. It's really the only paint app on the whole piece. It's got the red and it gives a little bit of a weathered look to it, some fading, which looks pretty cool. I'd say the quality of that paint coming out is okay. I do have some nicking sort of through here, which looks like it's not the same nice weathered look, but more of just some scratching in the factory, and probably right here too. This is probably pretty subtle, but my smaller Hasbro scale figure had a lot of black scuff marks all over the wings. I think they did a better job with this one, but there are still a couple places where I can see some some faint marks like that, but overall much better than my version of the smaller vehicle. Here's some of the detailing they did on the wings. A little bit of a paint stripe with some silver or chrome. Really the only paint apps on the wings, kind of on each spoke, if you will. And again, here's the discoloration that seems to be consistently there every time those pieces of plastic come together. But overall, the molding and everything here is pretty consistent with the smaller scale figure, which is pretty good. But again, it's just sort of missed opportunity to put on some paint and do a little bit of a nicer job with the Black Series detailing. So guys, kind of overall reactions for this vehicle is A, to its benefit, it's big. It fits the Black Series scale figures, so that's pretty cool. In terms of kind of design and detailing, it doesn't really pass the mark for me. Again, they basically are sort of reapplying the smaller scale look to the figure, sometimes with even less molding on the vehicle, as I mentioned earlier. So I think they missed the mark on that one in terms of taking an opportunity to really upscale the detail of the figure. In terms of what it is, it's big, giant pieces of plastic kind of snapping together. It feels very plasticky when you're carrying it and holding it. So it doesn't really have like a great build quality feel to it. Again, a little touch, wobbles along. So it's something to be maybe a cool display piece if you're a diehard Star Wars fan with a big collection and you want a large vehicle out there. It has some wow factor sort of from a distance and with its presence. But really upon closer inspection, missing the detailing, not being a great build quality, it just doesn't do it for me. So overall, guys, my recommendation for the figure would be, unless you really want a ginormous, big plastic TIE fighter to have somewhere on display in your collection, you might want to think twice about picking this thing up for its current $160, $170 price tag. I mean, for me, it's probably $100 toy. It wows on size, but it really misses on quality, detailing, and design that I would have expected with the Black Series name, which is the big surprise. I think if there's two things you want in a Black Series, it's bigger scale and more detail and higher quality. And I think with this, you get the bigger scale, but you don't get the more detail and higher quality that you do when you think about the action figures themselves. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Hope it's useful if you're looking at dropping some serious money to pick this thing up. And we'll see you next time. May the Force be with you.